Hi, everyone. I want to welcome you back. I'm Melissa, and I'm a senior in Tepper. Today, I want to introduce to you Tara, a senior academic advisor within Tepper. She works mainly with underclassmen students, and I've never had her. I actually had Sarah, but I'd always stop by, and she would just smile and just be willing to answer any questions that I had. But can you share some of your responsibilities that I could go to you for?
Sure. So I advise first and second year students, but we are, we consider ourselves a community at Tepper. So really, you could come to my office, you could Zoom request, in the before time, you could come to my office. Now you could really, email me or Zoom request any type of question, and whether it's, thinking about interests that you have within business, how do you explore interests out of business? We can talk about how you could be successful in your classes, what resources you have available to you across campus. If you want to talk about goals that you'd like to set for yourself, whether they be academic or professional, or how the two align. So we have lots of conversations like that.
Great. So I guess if I wanted to talk to you right now, I can go on, how can I make an appointment, I guess?
Sure. So we use an online scheduler called Schedule Once, and students can go online and request an appointment, and that's going to be through Zoom. And once you schedule the appointment through our online scheduler, which is meetme.so//Tepper, like, you could get the link on our website. That's probably the easiest way. Maybe marketing can put it in the bottom of this. But you can click on that link and schedule an appointment. We advise in half an hour time slots. If you need more time, you can request 2 time slots, and you'll automatically receive a Zoom link. And then, during the time of our regularly scheduled meeting, you would click on the Zoom link and we would do something that looks just like this.
So I guess as an incoming first year, what would I want to have prepared for a conversation maybe about scheduling? Should I have something completely filled in, I guess, for all my classes? Or is it okay to come and be like, I have no idea?
Right. So, it could be a little bit of both, right? And I think that also depends on time of year. So if it's early on, and, we do provide for our incoming students, we provide a Canvas course that has lots of content about kind of what we expect in the first semester, some first semester appropriate classes. Moving forward in the school year, hopefully we have lots of advising conversations to talk about what classes most aligned to those goals that we talked about earlier. We use a couple tools at Carnegie Mellon, and especially at Tepper. You can plan a schedule. So if you wanted me to look at, like, hey, this is what I was thinking, and you could go in your SIO and plan a schedule, and we could have a conversation based on that. We also use an audit software called Stellic at Carnegie Mellon. All our degree requirements are in there, and there's a planner. So we could talk about, you can make a plan in there and we could talk about that. Or you could simply say, I'm kind of confused, I'm not quite sure, and we can then go from there. So really it's helpful when you have an idea of what you'd like to take in mind. That's definitely helpful, but we certainly want to accommodate and support those students who just might not know really anything about what they want to do.
Yeah, for me, I know that I didn't know about Stalic at first. And so I was using like the sample schedule, and I would be like, I can't get into this class. Like, I have nothing else. I'm not going to graduate on time. But Stalic really helped me to just kind of play around with classes, figure out what were the prerequisites, where could I fit that in. And I mean, I was planning my schedule for my senior year, my sophomore year, probably, because I was so excited that I could just say, oh, here, it all fits. So let's say I have my whole plan scheduled. Is that something we can kind of talk about concentrations, or when would we kind of go in that direction?
That's a good question. So we look at the curriculum in kind of a 2 and 2, right? So your first 2 years, undergraduate business, we want you to think about, right, getting those foundation courses, going, because those foundation courses like calculus, economics, writing, statistics, you're going to see those pop up as prerequisites, as you know, right? You're a senior now. Those are prerequisites to a lot of the other classes. So it's important to think about that. But your first 2 years, we want you to focus on like what, exploring business. What is it about business that you might find exciting? You might have an idea, try it out. You might need to pivot. What is it outside of business that you're thinking about exploring? We require a minor, so we want students to be thinking about it the first 2 years. Then, the second 2 years, that's when you really start to think about, okay, I'm gonna commit to this concentration. By the end of your sophomore year, right? What we want you to answer the question: what are you studying outside of business, i.e., minor, and what are you concentrating in? And then your next 2 years are really satisfying those requirements. So we don't expect you day one to have it all figured out, and we want you to also, right? It's that like, what do you like? You kind of know what you like or what you think you might like and what you're good at, and kind of matching those two things up, right? Because sometimes they align beautifully. Sometimes you're really good at something you might not necessarily like, or you really like something that you're not necessarily good at. So that's what you kind of work through the first couple years. And then, by the time you're a senior like yourself, you probably have it all figured out. And
yeah, I'll figure it out. But no, I think that's really good because it definitely something you want to think about. And that was something I came into school thinking I was going to be in finance, and I'm not in finance in any way. But I have my concentration in business analytics, which is something I never would have explored until I got to school. And so it's really nice that it's flexible, and the curriculum gives me so many opportunities to like kind of test out a lot of different things.
Yeah, that's good. I also think about it like, what jobs are going to be out there, even 5 years from now that we don't know about, or 4 years from now, or, new and emerging markets, and how can you develop a transferable skill set. I think that's the other thing that we talk a lot to students about is, yes, you have to satisfy a concentration as a degree requirement, right? But what's the transferable skill set you're looking for? So you are studying business analytics, but 2 years you might want to go back to finance. And I would argue that you have the skill set to do that, right? Maybe freshen up on, depending on what part of finance you want to go into, but I think that's kind of where the other sweet spot is you're, looking at, what have I learned and how can I then apply it in the professional world?
Definitely. I think that CMU and especially Tepper gives you a really well-rounded education to prepare you for almost anything. And I guess, so you worked in K-12 and then you decided to come back to CMU. So what did you see within CMU or Tepper that brought you back to higher education?
Oh, that's a good question. Somebody prepped you. Okay, so I worked in K to 12. I was an implementation specialist, and so that's sort of like a consultant, I would say, like working with school districts to help them to solve a problem, right? So they had a problem and they wanted to solve it, and then my responsibility was then the solution, implementing that solution. And so what that meant for me was I was helping those school districts identify goals, right? Identify and articulate those goals, and then matching kind of the plan with said goals. And, to finish that off, kind of the constant loop of quality improvement, right? So have we met the goals, and then how do we improve on it? And what's the next iteration going to look like? I did that at a very like systems level. So for like a school district, for several school districts, or the client, right? And what I started to realize is I really missed that one-on-one human interaction. And so what I did was took that transferable skill set of how to, articulate the goal, align the goal, quality improvement, and just did it for a one-on-one, just, one-on-one students. What are your goals? How do we align your goals? And then how do we improve on those for you? And so that's why I came back to CMU, because I missed that one-on-one, in-person kind of work. So that's, yeah.
Great. So, I think that you really showed me that like that one-on-one interaction is really important. Like even when I'm just walking around, and a nice smile is like really great, even though I don't know if we're going to get that much anymore. to be honest, but we'll see. Maybe I'll come stop by anyways. We'll keep our
Yes.
distance.
Yeah.
I guess another random question. What is your favorite spot in Pittsburgh? Like if I was going to come visit, where should I go?
Well, oh, that is such a good question. So here's a little background information on me. I am from Pittsburgh, and I live in the neighborhood that I grew up in. For those of you, just so you know, I live in around where my family lives. And so, oh, that's such a good question. Where would you meet me in the city proper? I love the Point, I would say, like if we're talking about the city of Pittsburgh, right? There's a lot of history there. A significant battle. The United States history was fought there at that location of where the Point is. It's where the three rivers, it's where the two rivers meet to make the third river. And so I just think it's a pretty cool spot. So we would probably hook up there, and it's open air and it's outside and it's fun and access to water and all the pretty things. And it's like when you see pictures of Pittsburgh, like maybe you've seen like a postcard or something, you're going to see like the Point with the fountain and the rivers.
Yeah, and you can see so many bridges from there too, and that's another Pittsburgh highlight.
Pittsburgh highlight, lots of bridges, lots of hills and valleys. So yeah, that's probably what I would say.
Okay, and if we were staying inside, what would be the Netflix or Amazon Prime show of I guess we'll probably binge watch it in a day or two, but show?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so that is such a good question. And if any of you go online and see my bio that's on the Tepper School website, like I binge watched lots of things, like lots of shows. So I'm trying to think of like some of my, like, do you want to know some of my favorites or what I'm currently binging now? Because that's a different question.
Give me some of both.
Okay, so I would say that what I'm binging now with my family is the Umbrella Academy. So I sort of like that science fiction-y superhero type thing. So the Umbrella Academy, which is on Netflix. And Breaking Bad was one of my probably all-time one of my favorite shows. So that's probably
Finish
like
that. I felt like it was kind of repetitive.
it's the acting in it's really good. I think it's really well written. I think for comedies wise, I like Scrubs. I could binge watch Scrubs. I could watch Gilmore Girls over and over again, like on Netflix. Like, so those are maybe some of my favorite. I think recently I watched Schitt's Creek, which I thought was beautifully written and acted. Yeah, I like a lot of things. I also have 3 sons, and so we are currently watching the Marvel movies in timeline order, not order of release, but how they fit in the story. So last night we just watched Thor. So I don't know.
Never actually seen any of those.
Yes, there's a lot of them, but fortunately we have a lot of inside time lately. So we have accomplished that goal. Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for sharing a little bit about yourself and also about your role at Tepper. And I hope that anyone watching feels free to reach out to either of us with any questions or just send an email. That also works.
Yes, email, questions, like, yeah, I like people. Maybe I like to talk too. So that's great.
All right. Well, thank you all.